Hello, 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 everyone. It is Tracie from Tracie Papa Art. I love sharing off my heart and teaching you how to create a little journey life with some fun, simple, and quick art projects. So, how is everyone? Hello, hello, hello. So, I'm going to change this view. There we go. And here we are. I'm painting these little, really cute leprechaun legs. Can you see him? He's dancing. He's having a grand old time. And I'm going to get out some paint. Let me move over so I'm not being covered. I'm using a dirty palette because I've been doing some other stuff. And we will get started. I'm putting out a little bit of some light blue to do my background. You can use whatever color you want. We're just going to have a little fun. I guess I can use a brush. It's in here. It's wet and dirty already, right? Okay. So I'm just going to load up my brush with some light blue, and I'm going to start painting in my background. You know what? I want some white as well. I like my background to have a little texture, so my background is going to have a mix of the blue and some white. And we don't want to overblend. We want to be able to see the different shades of blue. I was going to say different shades of white, but really if you mix white with blue, you just have a lot of different shades of blue. And I'm never too neat when I'm doing a background. We want our background to have a little character, to be interesting. So my backgrounds, unless I'm doing like a faux wood or something, my backgrounds are messy. I like to outline whatever it is I traced. This is nothing. This is just protecting my book, so don't worry about that. And I just want to make sure that it's all blended in. So I'm picking up the blue and the white. I'm cutting in around my tracer. Now, if you wanted to, I love using the tracers. My painters love having tracers. For a new painter, there could be nothing more intimidating than a big blank white canvas. So my painters love having a tracer. If you don't want a tracer, you can freehand it, or you can paint your background. If you're like, oh, that's a clean, you can paint your background, let it dry or dry it, and then do your tracer. So it's up to you. I use graphite paper when I'm tracing, and I'm the same graphite paper for like hundreds of designs. It lasts almost forever. And I'm just trying to get in here and nooks and crannies. And every time I go back to my palette, I pick up some blue and some white. Oh, you like that? Holy crazy. I moved it from my last slide. And I have to pick it up again. So I pick up some more blue. I do that little outline there. I like to outline. This way, my eye is guided, and I know where I need to go or not go with my paintbrush. I'm going to come up here in the middle. If you get some on your design, your tracer, whatever, don't worry about it. It's acrylic paint, and we can fix anything. The trick to being able to fix, enhance, tweak, whatever it is, if there's something you don't like, is to wait for it to dry. Have some patience, wait for whatever it is to dry, and then you can go back and fix anything. Oh, knocking everything down. Okay, so I'm just going to blend a little more of this in for my background, and there we go. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. And I think I'm gonna switch my brush too. I want this one. Okay. I'm gonna put out some black. Now these colors are just suggestions. You don't want to use black. You don't want to do your background blue. Use the colors that you want to use. Use the colors that you like. Use the colors that you have on hand. Okay? And I'm going to start base coating in our little shoes. I'm not liking this brush either. I did a whole brush maintenance thing the other day, and it really didn't help. I was hoping I could salvage some brushes, but maybe not. I just might have to ditch them and get out some new ones. Lord knows I have as much brushes as I do paint. Well, I finished with brushes. I went smaller. So I'm just base coating in the boots for now. Okay, the inside of the buckle there. Move on to the other one. One thing that's important when you're painting, you want to have paint on your brush. A lot of times new painters are scared to put the brush in paint. They think if they have less paint on their brush, they're going to mess up less. And that isn't the case. You want your brush to glide. You want your brush to move as if you're spreading warm butter. You don't want to fight with your brush. You don't want to be using a lot of pressure on your brush. So even if you're a beginner, don't be afraid. Dive right into that puddle of paint and get a nice amount of paint on your brush and get to painting. Okay. I'm going to mix a little bit of white. I'm just taking my dirty brush and grabbing in some white, and I'm going to do the soles. Again, even with this, when I add it into the white, I'm still not really over mixing. You can still see some white, some different grays, light gray, dark gray. Just like when we did the background, I'm not totally over mixing and making one solid gray color. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. I have a variety of greens here from my previous project because it's March. Hey guys, how are ya? So yeah, I have a variety of greens here. I have dark, how's are dark? I have festive green, and then I have holly green, and oh, I think this is matcha green. Matcha green is more like a yellowish, greenish color. So if you don't have multiple shades of a color like I do with more than one green, you can always use black and white to make your color a little darker. You always want like different values of the same color so you can lighten up with white. The only color I wouldn't suggest lightening up with white is red because you're going to get pink. But any other color, you can lighten it up with white. You can darken it up with black, a little bit of black, goes a very long way. So we're just painting in here. And really, these first steps of this project or any project is me just base coating. I'm just what's called color blocking. I'm coming in and I'm putting most of the color that we need where it belongs. Okay. When you're trying to fill part of your design and you have to get in all the nooks and crannies, that's okay. You have to turn your brush, you have to turn your painting, whatever it is. But then when you're going back, you want to neaten up your brush strokes. You want all your brush strokes going the same way, whether that's vertical or horizontal or curved, if it's a round object, whatever it is. Okay. So now I'm going to dip my brush in some of this black, some of this darker green. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to shade in. I'm going to blend in some of this darker green to the inside of these little leprechaun pant legs. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. When you're blending in, you want your paint on your surface and the paint on your brush to all be wet. As I said before, if you want to fix something, you need to be patient. You need your paints to be dry. But when you want to blend, you need your paint on your surface and the paint in your brush to be wet. Okay? I'm going to put out a little bit of this matcha. And come in here. So because he's dancing and he's in his pants, I made the inside of the legs to be shady. And now I'm making the outside of the pants to have a little bit of highlight to them. Ordinarily, we would shade to one side and highlight to the opposite side. But in this case, because it's dancing, I want the shady part to the inside of its pants and then the highlight part to the outside. And I just picked up a little bit more of the original color, the festive green, to tone down my highlighted part a little bit. Okay. I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to get my liner brush. Okay. So we're going to do our grasses on the bottom. The whole bottom of this is full of grasses, different colored grasses. So I'm going to take my liner brush. I'm going to twirl it in this green paint. You want your liner brush to move, and you want it to move smoothly. So if your paint is a little thick, just dip the very tip in some water and thin it out a little bit. You don't want to make it too thin. You know, if you hold your brush up, you don't want the paint to run off and drip. But you want your paint to be a little bit thin when you use a liner brush. Okay, and I'm twirling it. I have a nice point on there. And when I'm doing grasses, you want them thicker on the bottom, thinner to the top. So I'm going to put my brush at the base, and I'm going to flick up. I'm going to come in here and get a little bit more paint. And a little bit more water. Thin it up. And I'm going to add in all these grasses at the bottom of my canvas. I'm going to be using all the greens that I have. I'm going to be doing multiple layers. We want our grasses to cross over each other. We're not lining them up like little soldiers. I only do like maybe one or two blades of grass, and then I come and get more paint. When my paint starts to get thick, I'm going to dip it in the water again, and I'm going to rub it in here and thin it up a little bit. We want our grasses to cross over each other, and we're going to fill this whole bottom here, like our little leprechaun is doing a jig out in this meadow over the grass. And you can make this as full or as sparse as you want. If you see, I have my blades, they have like a curve to them, but they're still crisscrossing. I'm not just coming down the bottom and doing stroke, stroke, stroke. Every once in a while, I'll go dip back in my water, mix it into my paint, give my brush a nice twirl, and flick. Now, I feel it's easier. I turned my painting upside down. I feel it's easier to flick and be thick on the bottom and thinner at the top for the grass when I pull it towards myself. All right. Now I'm going to go into this darker green. I'm not even going to wash my brush. I am going to pick up some water. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. You don't have to wash your brush. We're just switching between greens. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to start adding in a little bit of this dark green. And depending on your brush and how much paint your brush holds, that's what's going to matter how many strokes you can take. So it's not like you could say, oh, she picks up paint and then she does 3 blades of grass. That might not be for you because you might have a different brush. You probably definitely do have a different brush. So you just have to figure out how many blades of grass that you can do before you have to pick up more paint where your edges are getting dry or complete like that. We want to avoid too many of these dry edges. Sometimes at one point I have to come over here and see what I'm doing. I'm going to go back to this color. And pulling in some more water. And having my blades of grass to the outside, like kind of come around the painting. We're going to mirror that with what we're going to do on the top too. So some of my blades are long, some of them are short, some of them are thick, some of them are thin. I'm just putting them all in here. And I'm going to go into my lighter green, it's naphtha green, it's more like a yellow green. You use the greens that you like. Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave that for now. I may come back and add more grass, but for now I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna go back to my smaller brush. I'm going to pick up some white and I'm gonna base coat in my socks. Now some people say the canvas is white. It's up to you. I will paint all of my canvas. The paint has a finish and you can tell what's painted and unpainted. Plus, I'm going to add some stripes to these socks. I'm going to pick up my light green. I'm going to come in here and add some stripes. When we do our stripes, we want to have them have a little dip to them. We want to give them a little bit of a curve. There's a glare there. But there you go. I'm going to give them a little bit of a curve. You know, just going to go straight across. Okay? I'm going to stick with my extra green. We're going to add some polka dots. So I'm taking my brush one way, and then I'm taking it the other way. If you have a dauber and you want to use a dauber, you can. When I do my dots with a brush, I put a lot of pressure on my paintbrush. I push one way and then the other way. I like to put some of them hanging off a little bit, so I'll have my brush go off. And again, you can do as many or as few as you like. You can do these with the dark green. You can do these with white. You can skip them. It's your art. You do what you feel comfortable with. It's just important when you're doing polka dots to be random. Now my dots, because I'm brushing them, they're not perfect. They would be much more round if I was using a dauber. But you don't want to keep coming back to the dots and fixing and playing and poking around, because what happens is you're going to end up with big giant dots, because the more you try and fix, the more they grow. And then before you know it, I mean, that one's too big, that one's too small. And you're going to have these giant polka dots going on, and you're not going to be happy. So you know what? They're imperfect, and that's that. We're not going to worry about it. We'll take out a little bit of yellow. My yellow stuck. My yellow stuck. Switch. Okay. And I'm going to base coat in the buckles. Okay. Ooh, brush. I think I'm going to add a little bit more grass down here. I'm going to use my line brush this time. This time I'm using a very small flat brush. So these blades of grass, it's just for a different look. These blades of grass are going to be a little thicker. And on top. I'm still flicking. I'm still pulling up. I can turn it upside down if I wanted. Then I'm going to take my green. I'm going to do a little shamrock over here. I'm going to make this one a little bit thicker. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a shamrock. The shamrock is basically 3 hearts or 4 hearts. It's a 4-leaf clover. And they meet in the middle. So I have 1 heart, 2 hearts, 3 hearts. And there's my shamrock. I'll do another small one down there. So let's put a bigger stem, So I push down and push down, and there's a heart. Then I come over here and I push down, and I push down, and there's the second heart. And then I push down, and I push down, and there's the third heart for my other blind flower, or three-leaf clover, sorry. And then we put one over here. So I'm going to make this one a little bit darker too, like it's a stem. I got my green paint. One heart. Two heart. And then this one's going off a little bit. Three heart. If I move that, you see it's going off the paper. Okay. I'm going to wash the brush. Okay. So remember I said on the bottom here, we have our grasses kind of cupping underneath. I'm going to do the same thing up top. Just going to get a little red. And I'm going in with a little red. Okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this yellow. And make that orange color. And come in with the orange. Wash the brush. I'm going to straight to the yellow. Put in fresh yellow. And pick up some green. We need dark blue. And then some dark blue here. And I'm not doing full strokes. I'm just light pressure going through the colors of the rainbow. And a purple. And adding a little rainbow to the top. Kind of like completing our piece with the grasses cupping on the bottom. Nothing ever get out of this. Practically dry brushing in there. Okay? I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go back to my line now. Okay. I'm going to start adding in some white highlights, adding in some details here. We want our paint with our line brush to move smoothly. So now if your white paint is getting a little tacky, you want to dip the tip of your brush in some water. Come over here by your paint and just mix it in a little bit. You want your paint to be a little thin, but remember, not too thin. When you hang your brush upside down like this, you don't want the paint to just come running off. You just want to thin it up a little bit with some water, and then curl your brush between your thumb and your forefinger. And I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add in some highlighting around the roots. Nice thin lines, and you don't want them to have dry ends. I'm just using a very soft touch and making these little lines. It almost makes it look like the more lines you have, the more it'll look like he's dancing. The lines kind of give it a little bit of movement. Then I want to add a little highlight to my polka dots that are towards the outside. And a little highlight to the outside of my pins. I'm not even drawing one complete line. I have my my pointer finger hanging out, so less pressure on my brush. And I'm just putting those little highlights. Wash my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of gold. If you don't have gold, that's fine. If you don't have gold, you can put a second coat of yellow onto your buckles. But instead of me putting a second coat of yellow on my buckle, I'm going to use gold. I'm going to clean up the top of my feet while I do it. There we go. I'm just going to put out a little bit. Go back to my small brush I had. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And I'm going to go into my gold. And I'm going to go over my yellow. Again, if you don't have gold, that's fine. If you didn't even want to do yellow buckles, that's fine too. I'm easy to see you guys. I'm just going over my yellow with some gold paint. Actually, love this gold. I think it's the 14 karat gold. Yeah, 14 karat gold from Folk Art. Okay. I'm going to wash my brush. And I think my glasses are pretty dry. I'm going to come down here. I'm just going to put a few little daisies down here just to mix it up a little bit, just to make it more interesting. When I'm doing these little tiny daisies, even fun daisies, I do daisies a number of ways. The important thing is all your brush strokes go towards the middle. Okay? So all my brush strokes are going in towards the middle. And then I'm going to get the back of my brush with my yellow paint, and I'm going to dip in the center of my flowers. And then wash my brush. And then I'm going back to my liner brush. Now I can add some white to my shamrocks if I wanted to, but I'm going to come in here with this matcha green. That's the lighter green, and I'm going to use the green to highlight, little highlight on my stem instead of coming back in with the white. I'm just adding a little bit of the matcha, making tips of the leaves of my shamrock, my 3-leaf clover, a little bit lighter. You could do it with white if you want. You can do it with both if you want. And then a little highlight on my stem. And there we go. Isn't that cute? Let me see if I can fix this now again. Yep, there we go. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks, everyone.